Hello, it is May 1st, and you know what that means. It's time for our market stats. So I ran the numbers this morning, and I want to report to you what's happening in the market. We're going to talk about the approaching recession, what the feds are doing with the federal funds rate, how mortgage rates are responding, all of the dynamics that are happening right now as far as our real estate market and economic factors. So we're going to talk about all of that. I'm going to give you some insight as to what the local market is, the more hyper local perspective that you can weigh against what the media is saying on a larger scale, and just help you to have the information you need to make the best decisions as you walk forward in your real estate ventures. And as always, that's what we are here at RES Luxury Group to do, is to help keep you informed and educated so that you can make the best decisions for yourself and your family with regard to your lifestyle and your housing needs and decisions. So if you need any help from us, if there's anything we can do and consult with you on, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And I'm Ruth Squires with eXp Realty, RES Luxury Group, where we bring you white glove service and red carpet treatment because your satisfaction is our guarantee. So let's talk about the market. With the stats, almost every category was down on numbers. Our listing inventory has been declining day by day. And so we are down about 5% from 921 homes at the end of March to 879 homes as of the end of April. So that's a pretty significant drop. And then the categories that are actually up slightly are our days on market, ever so slightly up, and then also our expiring listings are up a bit. And then the most significant one is our buying activity is up. So we have more buyers purchasing homes right now than we have the inventory to provide. So that's that dynamic of the buying activity is up, so the inventory level is declining. We still have homes coming on the market. We just don't have enough homes to take care of all the buyers that are out there. Now we're going to get into some of this discussion about what's happening economically, what the feds are doing, and how that's relating to our inventory levels in our real estate environment. So let's move right into that discussion. So we also want to discuss what's on the horizon. It is almost the middle of the year, which is shocking to me. I cannot believe we're there already. I think every month I say I cannot believe we're here already, but middle of the year is kind of like a big benchmark because we're halfway through and we have only 6 months left to think about for the year. It just feels like, I don't know, it's like we're on the end path after the 6 month mark, but it is May, so we have 1 month more before we hit June. And so what are we expecting? We've been hearing for some time about interest rates and where they're going to be by year end, and it seems like it keeps adjusting. Not to the positive, unfortunately. So as it stands right now, we know that the Federal Reserve is still trying to curb inflation. Their goal is a 2% mark for inflation. So they're raising rates in order to achieve that. And so they just did a quarter of a point increase the federal funds rate. Now, oftentimes we look at it, oh my gosh, mortgage rates are going to move respectively to that. And it is not the federal funds rate does not determine what our mortgage rates are, but lenders base rates also looking at the federal funds rate. So you can't use that as a determining factor, but certainly we can see that movement is going upward. When we watch rates daily, we have been looking at rates really hovering in the mid sixes. As of yesterday, the Mortgage News Daily was showing a rate of 6.59. So lately, they've been just slightly above the 6.5 percentage mark for the 30-year fixed rate. And it's interesting to see the dynamic between rates and where they are and where from day to day and what kind of actual activity we have. I like to say we, as professionals in the industry, we are the feet on the ground. So we are actually living and breathing and feeling what we're hearing, what you guys are hearing in the media on the day to day. So we can kind of attest to whether or not that is what we see happening. I'm going to share my screen here so we can look at a couple of visual slides. And this one is referencing that dynamic between interest rate levels and buyer demand. And I can tell you that as we approach that 7% and slightly above 7%, I would say that this chart is right on with what I was experiencing with the real estate market during that time. So there was a time, I want to say it was the end of March, where rates had really peaked and it felt like the market almost went stagnant. Now, it was not dead. There were still homes selling. It was just at such a low speed and volume that it felt like there was nothing happening. And then all of a sudden, in the last couple of weeks, rates started to stabilize a little bit more. And we had this whirlwind of activity that happened, and things were going pending right and left, and it felt like a frenzy again all of a sudden. So it definitely seems to be that 6.5 mark is where people start kind of feeling an urgency again, getting more energy around being ready to make that purchase. And when we start getting closer to 7%, that's where things really start to just kind of slow down. So as we talk about that, how do we gauge what's going to be happening? And I don't know that you really can. I think you just have to understand and be able to weather through the period of time that we're in, since these are short-term periods that we have to deal with. So turbulence in the financial markets certainly puts downward pressure on rates, and that is a benefit to borrowers. And we're going to talk more about that and what that looks like as we go forward. But there's going to be short-term opportunities where we see those rates coming down, and buyers can really take advantage of that. And that goes back to what we talked about, just being ready, knowing, kind of having your pulse, right? Which is what we try to do for you, is be a pulse on the market for you and be prepared to make moves when it's the right time, financially thus. So last quarter of last year, there was a lot of media talking about there's going to be these big declines in housing prices and home valuations. And so that was a little bit of a scary bit of media. And this is just some screenshots of what that looked like. Well, the reality as of today is that home prices have continued to appreciate in most markets. So I want to speak to, we can see what these markets, this is the top 20 cities, and wonderful that we're represented here with Tampa, 10.5% year over year price appreciation in the last 12 months. So you can see there's a fair number that are in the green. Out on the west, there are some that are negative, and that's largely due to the tech industry. But what we have when we look at Tampa being 10.5%, you say, well, how do we shape up locally to that, right? Because we're not Tampa. And when I look at our actual median price year over year, if I look at Pine Ridge, we're 16% appreciation of values. If I look at Terra Vista, we're 15% appreciation of values. So we're actually exceeding Tampa in some of our communities that are so beautiful, wonderful places to live. So it depends on what community you're looking at. It depends on what the area is, but we are tracking very well when you look at those numbers against our bigger cities. And the technology industry slowdown is creating those declines that we saw, the red numbers on the valuations. But for us, it's very positive news. So then we look at nationally. Okay, so year over year, as of January, national rate of appreciation was 5.3%. So again, I say to you, we are doing very well hyper locally. Now, South Atlantic, 9.6%, really good number. So have we listened to what they said the end of last year? We're all scared and we're worried, and oh my gosh, our houses are going to decline in value. What are we going to do? And the reality is that hasn't happened. So economist predictions, they are all good things to watch, but you need to still keep your focus on the here and now and what's actually happening, and tracking, do those predictions come out and ring true? And then also don't forget, the media always wants to put like the strongest emotional pitch out there that will get people really excited, because that's what media needs to do. I miss the times when we had news and it was actually for the purpose of educating and bringing news. Now it's become this theatrical, whatever, try to get as many eyes watching your show as possible. So what about affordability? We've seen where it felt a bit devastating, to be honest, with prices going as high as they were, and it wasn't matching up with the pay scales of the area, and feeling like, well, there's just not affordable housing for people in our local market. So let's talk about what that looks like now. The good news is, of course, every time that mortgage rates tick downward, the affordability increases for the buyers, and that's a very helpful thing, because financing costs less and mortgage rates mortgage payments are lower. So mortgage payments are actually down about $2,000 since a few months ago, back in 2020. So it's showing that even though the rates are higher, the affordability of the homes is starting to make sense again and get improved. So this chart is very nice, because what this shows us is what is the balance between the median income and the median housing cost. And so what we can see here is, when we look at the South, the median income being just shy of 85,000, and to qualify for the median home price, you need to have an income of just under 81,000. So that's actually working pretty well. Midwest looks great. Back where I moved from, with $90,000 median income and qualifying income for the median priced home at $60,000. That's awesome. And then of course out west, where we have people fleeing from the west to come to Florida. And I suppose no surprise when you look at this chart, because my gosh, the median income is 100,000 and qualifying income to buy the median priced home is 128,000. Good grief. So you can bring that income here to Florida and you're golden, and you get a really nice house too. So if that happens to be you, definitely let me know. Let's talk, because there's a lot of great value here in Florida. So that's pretty much it for the market stats. I do want to talk a bit about the recession. So the Feds are saying that by year end, we will likely be in a recession, a mild recession with a 24-month expected recovery. Now, how does that affect the housing market? Well, traditional recessions, the Federal Reserve responds to them by lowering interest rates, lowering the federal funds rate, which then leads to more affordable mortgage rates. So there are some very positive things that come from recession. I know we kind of hear recession and you think, oh, that's such a negative thing, but let's look at the light at the end of the tunnel with some of these things that are not bright and shiny on surface. So that's where we're at today, May 1st. It's still a strong market, and I continue to say there's opportunities on both sides of the fence, whether you're buying or selling, but stay informed. Make sure that you are aligned with someone who can be a voice of what's really happening and educate you so that you can make the appropriate decisions. And if we can help you at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. 352 352-794-1426. Again, 352-794-1426. RES Luxury Group. We are here to help anything that you might need, anything to do with real estate. We'd love to help you.